feel like it might be about time to do something about to to talk about uh, Lakatos, Lakatos Imre. I don't speak Hungarian, so if that's terrible, I'm sorry. Um, or to Americans, Imre Lakatos, Lakatos. Uh, the definitely wrong way to say it. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. So here I'm gonna, as as per usual, I'm just gonna read from the Wikipedia page on him, and if you have a problem with that, um, you can go edit the fucking Wikipedia page. Stupid. Anyway, Imre Lakatos Imre, was a Hungarian philosopher of mathematics and science, known for his thesis of the fallibility of mathematics and its methodology of proofs and refutations in its pre-axiomatic stages of development, and also for introducing the concept of the research program in his methodology of scientific research programs. And in my experience, a lot of what people refer to as the scientific method actually comes from this guy. Maybe not originally, but he's kind of the guy that put it together in a way that became popularized in the late 20th century. So let's look at his, because of that video I did um, of Sabina talking about the simulation hypothesis as pseudoscience. Let's look at Lakatos, uh, how he talks about pseudoscience, because this was a big thing for him. Okay, so this is the section on the Wikipedia page about pseudoscience. According to the demarcation criterion of pseudoscience proposed by Lakatos, a theory is pseudoscientific if it fails to make any novel predictions of previously unknown phenomena, or its predictions were mostly falsified, in contrast with scientific theories which predict novel facts. So now, in this, if we take this version of pseudoscience, which I have issues with, we'll get to, um, the the issues that Sabina has with um, the simulation hypothesis still doesn't count as pseudoscience, right? Because it is predicting previously unknown phenomena. It's just that she falsified them. But that demonstration of falsification has not been propagated through the community. So his predictions have been falsified, but it's not really been made clear to everybody, I guess. So is it really pseudoscience? Like, that's one of the problems, I think, with this definition of pseudoscience is, well, okay. So if I falsify something to my own standard in the privacy of my own home, is it reasonable to expect the entire scientific community to know about that? And so if they're still looking at something, well, it's been falsified. If they're still looking at it, does that make it pseudoscience? I think that's ridiculous. Anyway, continue. Progressive scientific theories are those that have their novel facts confirmed. Okay, I can see that. I'm because you're progressing science. I suppose that makes sense. And degenerate scientific theories, which can degenerate so much that they become pseudoscience, are those whose predictions of novel facts are refuted. Right, which is what you just. How is that different? If it's been refuted, let's see. A theory is pseudoscientific. I'm going back. A theory is pseudoscientific if it fails to make novel predictions of a previously unknown phenomena, or its predictions were mostly falsified. So a pseudoscientific theory makes predictions that were mostly falsified. How is that different than degenerate science? The lines he's drawing just don't make sense to me. And then I believe this is a quote from him. Let's see. A given fact is explained scientifically only if a new fact is predicted with it. The idea of growth and the concept of empirical character are soldered into one. See pages 34 and 35 of The Methodology of Scientific Research Programs, 1978. So, simply having a better explanation for something that we already have an explanation for, that's not science. Improving the quality of your argument isn't scientific to Lakatos. I find that interesting. And where is the line between pseudoscience and degenerate science? And where is the line between, if it's been falsified, when does it count as either of those? I don't fucking know. Okay. Lakatos' own key examples of pseudoscience were Ptolemaic astronomy, Immanuel Velikovsky's planetary cosmogony, Freudian psychoanalysis, 20th century Soviet Marxism. This is a really wide range of bullshit. Lyshenko's biology, Niels Bohr's quantum mechanics post-1924, astrology, psychiatry, and neoclassical economics. So, like, a big part of most of these is that they were believed once, and then they were overturned by something else. Okay. So how does that make it pseudoscience? That makes it former science. I'm also interested, why is Soviet Marxism in there? 20th century Soviet Marxism. Why is that in there? Okay. Darwin's theory. In his 1973 Scientific Method Lecture 1 at the London School of Economics, he also claimed that, quote, nobody to date has yet found a demarcation criterion according to which Darwin can be described as scientific, unquote. What? Almost 20 years after Lakatos' 1973 challenge to the scientificity of Darwin, in her 91 The Ant and the Peacock, LSE lecturer and ex-colleague of Lakatos, Helena Cronin, attempted to establish that Darwinian theory was empirically scientific in respect to at least being supported by evidence of likeness in the diversity of life forms in the world, explained by descent with modification. She wrote that our usual idea of corroboration is requiring successful prediction of novel facts. What? Darwinian theory was not strong on temporally novel predictions, however familiar the evidence and whatever role it played in the constitution of the theory, it still confirms the theory. Right. So, to Lakatos, evolution isn't science. I think he's crazy, personally. Under the criticism, there's one thing, Feyerabend. I don't care if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty sure he's dead now. Paul Feyerabend argued that Lakatos mythology was not a mythology at all, and I would agree, but merely words that sound like the elements of a methodology. Again, I agree. He argued that Lakatos' methodology was no different in practice from epistemological anarchism. It's fucking awesome. Feyerabend's own position. Yeah. In practice, he's doing what Feyerabend said everybody does. And when you actually measure it, everybody does it. Yeah. He wrote in Science in a Free Society, after Lakatos' death, that Lakatos realized and admitted that the existing standards of rationality, standards of logic included, were too restrictive and would have hindered science had they been applied with determination. He therefore permitted the scientists to violate them. He admits that science is not rational in the sense of these standards. However, he demanded that research programs show certain features in the long run. They must be progressive. I have argued that this demand no longer restricts scientific practice. Any development agrees with it. That's right. If you gain knowledge somewhere, that's progressive, isn't it, in this sense? So, like, making all these weird fucking demands? Why? How does that benefit you? That just makes you crazy. I'm pretty sure these guys were friends, too, so... Lakatos and Feyerabend planned to produce a joint work, in which Lakatos would develop a rationalist description of science and Feyerabend would attack it. The correspondence between them, I'm just tired of saying their names, where the two discussed the project has since been reproduced with commentary by some Italian dude. Yeah. Research programs. Lakatos' second major contribution to the philosophy of science was his model of the research program, which he formulated in an attempt to resolve the perceived conflict between Popper's falsificationism and, which is also like, yeah, the latter half of the 20th century views on science are this weird mashup of incommensurate views on science. It's just amazing. Falsificationism is a big thing, but also this crap from Lakatos and also a bunch of shit from Kuhn. So he formulated an attempt to resolve the perceived conflict between Popper's falsificationism and the revolutionary structure of science described by Kuhn. I have my own views on that one. Popper's standard of falsificationism was widely taken to imply that a theory should be abandoned as soon as any evidence appears to challenge it. I think it's wise to consider abandoning it, but not necessarily. While Kuhn's descriptions of scientific activity were taken to imply that science is most fruitful during periods in which popular or normal theories are supported despite known anomalies, Lakatos' model of the research program aims to combine Popper's adherence to empirical validity with Kuhn's appreciation for conventional consistency, which ends up, I'm not going to read all of this, it's too long. What is the name of that part of his view? Stagnate? Stagnate. I think that's the word. So, basically, the big problem that Lakatos identified with his own research program idea is that they can stagnate over time. The problem is, if you actually try to implement a research program under Lakatosian ideals, it's guaranteed to stagnate because you're ignoring falsifications. You're actively, deliberately ignoring them for a very long time. And this was a problem that I had with the linguists, the more prominent linguists at the U of A when I studied there. They viewed Lakatosian research programs as the ideal. So demonstrating that most of the crap that they're saying is false didn't move them in any way whatsoever. They didn't care. they actively didn't give a shit. They would just blatantly ignore data, ignore just logical necessity, all kinds of shit, left and right, because they were adhering to the program, goddammit, and we're not at the point of a Kuhnian revolution yet. We're not there yet. It's coming, but we're not there yet. And until it comes, holy shit, falsification of everything isn't even sufficient, because we're not at the point of the revolution. Which is fucking insane. What? Yeah, so like, this is actually how I discovered this guy. So I started looking into the history of Chomsky and linguistics, and was like, oh fuck, Chomsky's a fan of this dude. I bet you his disciples are super fans, because that's how this works. Because Chomsky will pick up something, and it's kind of wackadoo, but he remembers why he picked it up. He can explain it to you. But his disciples will just be like, oh, it's because Chomsky did it. That's a terrible fucking reason. What? And so they don't know why they picked it up, other than this is what Chomsky did. And they don't know a history of why he came up with this. It's what Chomsky did. Oh my god, no. No. This is why... Oh, shit. The whole concept of a way, or in this case, a research program, we have our own word for it here, is problematic for this reason. Because you're just doing what somebody else set up, and you don't know why. And here you specifically are supposed to just ignore the fact that your ideas are being falsified left and right until the revolution comes. What? That's some crazy shit. That's fucking crazy.